Hello, this is Wes Archer, the director.
This is Mike Reiss. I'm co-producer on this episode.
Al Jean, also a co-producer. This is episode 7G09, The Call of the Simpsons.
An outdoor adventure.
This episode was written by John Swartzwelder, who is the most prolific Simpsons writer. He's written 50 episodes, and it's amazing that he can do it and still be sane.
A lot of the Simpsons staff was culled from a little newsletter called Army Man, of which I think 4 were printed up. George Meyer created and edited this thing, and it was just a collection of one-line jokes, and they were odd, offbeat, comedy writer kind of jokes, and I think Sam Simon managed to assemble his staff just by reading this crazy, very small circulation newsletter. And John Swartzwelder, who had worked on Saturday Night Live and had a long career in advertising, that's where he found him from his contributions to Army Man.
Nowadays it'd be on the internet.
What?
A no couch gag. That was the gag.
Yes, Swartzwelder, to this day, I mean, here, was this his first one he wrote, Al?
No, he wrote Bart the General, this was the second.
But that's here in we're doing season 13 now, and he still produces at least 4 scripts a year.
Hey, Dad, how come we can't get a decent mower, like the Flanders have?
Old-fashioned mower.
What you got, son?
Yeah, they still have that mower, and I don't think anyone's actually used one of those in about 30 years.
This was my first show that featured the Flanders.
How do you like my new wheels, Simpson?
Oh, wow, man. What an RV.
Bart! I suppose it has various features.
No,
It's funny that Homer would say that when, of course, he's so upset with how much Flanders has.
See up there on the roof.
And this is Flanders has become the religious nut, the Flanders of sort of conspicuous consumption
$7 a week more than I
has gone away, really.
Simpson, credit.
Ooh, credit.
That might have been the first Yes Indeedly Doodly.
Oh.
Thank you, God. May I help you?
So this is another guest appearance by Albert Brooks, and one thing I remember is it's basically a 4-minute part, and that the transcript of his ad-libs ran for about 30 pages. You could have just filled the episode with this RV dealer talking to the Simpsons.
Didn't you look at this thing?
I think he's credited as Abe Brooks at the end. Credits make a monkey out of me, but I think he was sort of walking the line. He wasn't sure, as a lot of the early celebrity voices were, whether they wanted to be identified with a cartoon show or not.
Does it have a deep fryer?
Yeah, it was a while before we had a celebrity play himself, like Sting. Usually if we had a guest voice, they would go, maybe I'll just do the voice and see if I want to take the credit.
This is better than our house.
The early celebrity guests, Albert Brooks and Penny Marshall, I know, were just close friends of Jim Brooks coming in to do him a favor. And in fact, I think they approached William Shatner the first season. He's just the first celebrity to turn down the show.
First of all, I want you to know.
So actually one of the few celebrities who still hasn't done the show.
Yeah, one rule of thumb we found is that if a celebrity has kids who are fans of the show, then they'll probably do it. But, someone who's a little, not of that generation is less likely to.
One of the scariest things is that George Harrison of the Beatles did the show because his grandchildren wanted him to do it.
I check your credit rating, and I want to make myself clear on this. This is a formality. If you're saying to me, Bob, is this guy good for it? I say yes. I don't check this machine, but I don't own the place, even though my name's up there.
He has such a funny voice, it was difficult to get the animation up to par with the record.
Funny character design.
Am I approved?
You ever notice?
It's pretty low key. I imagine you can't hang a lot on it.
I don't think we can do ears that big anymore.
I went blind.
On The
telling
Simpsons.
You sell the vehicle to this fella and you're out of business. That's what the siren says.
Oh.
Seems the ultimate behemoth is a wee bit out of your price range. And We bid
We
you
give
being
credit to
alive.
everyone.
You couldn't afford this thing if you lived to be $1 million.
Don't you have something that isn't
All
out
the
of my
signs
price
on the
range?
wall.
I don't want to go away empty-handed, Bob.
Take it easy there. Don't ruin this feeling I'm getting from you. Perhaps I can show you something. A little more of you. Well, what do you think?
Oh, you gotta be kidding.
This is probably the first time we've explored Homer's credit
Is
problems.
it you?
It's amazing though. He always seems to buy more and more. And if you think about it, he has a nice, 2-story home, cars. It seems like somebody's giving him
How
money.
much you want for it?
The cost of living in Springfield must be a little lower.
That's true. They probably just keep winning class action suits with all the dumps and nuclear waste.
So we always treat Homer and write him as sort of this blue-collar hero when he's got a high-level job and a professional
Mr.
business.
If you have to go talk it over with those humans out there, then there's something wrong with all of us. You look like a man who is able to make a decision, or I wouldn't be wasting. See that?
I think a lot of resources were spent drawing backgrounds on this show. Tried to make them look very realistic. A lot of observational detail in the way there's fences and trees and cars are positioned.
This is one of those sequences where you can see the byplay between Albert and Dan Castellaneta. It always is great when the actors are together recording, and you can really get the back and forth that adds a lot to the script.
Yeah, Albert is pretty well known, for just being a quick wit, but Dan is one of the few people who could really keep up with Albert. He's a fantastic ad-libber and improviser, and his training is in Second City.
Turkey farm. No. Skunks. No. Slaughterhouse. No. What are you doing back there? We're playing What's That Odor? That's the part. You win by
I think they made Burger King figurines out of these camping designs.
Go back to your
Oh, I think you're right.
I'm telling you, this is not the
That's Bart's lucky red cap, which he wears from time to time if we need it for the story purposes.
Don't worry, this is an all-terrain vehicle.
My feet are getting wet.
Oh, come on. We're getting back to nature.
The act break for this episode is one of the first ventures into the surreal where, if a real family had this sort of thing happen to them, they probably wouldn't have survived.
I would say, it's a very funny episode. This is one of the sort of, especially as it winds up, one of the goofiest, sort of joke-driven episodes of the first season. And people who had come to expect one thing from The Simpsons, who had been startled by, the emotional resonance of it, were surprised by it, and that we could wind up just doing a real goofy, silly episode.
Yeah, I think one thing that really has led to the appeal of the series is that you don't know what you're going to get every week. It's a Whitman sample. You don't know who the focus of the episode's going to be. You don't know whether it is going to be heartwarming or surreal or you really, and it varies from act to act even what you're going to get.
And it even, right around this time or in the same season, we do Krusty Gets Busted, which was a well-constructed mystery that we would do a mystery episode with clues and a very intricate plot to figure out. It was again part of the surprise.
So if the Simpsons had been a real family, this is where they would have died, and this would have been the end of the series.
Yes, sir. This is a real adventure. Why, I bet there are people who would trade
Had a lot of
everything they
fun
have in
with
the world for an adventure like
More cartoony episode.
this. Well, somebody help.
I noticed too, every new animated series that's come on winds up doing their camping episode, and right around this point, around episode 7 or 8, it's like,
And you're forgetting.
we're tired of this town, we gotta get out of it.
I'll stay here
Yeah.
for a minute.
And it's nobody's copying anyone, it's just something you feel, oh gee, that's a natural, we set up our characters, let's throw them in the woods and see what happens.
Lost in the
I've
forest.
murdered us all! I've murdered us all! I've murdered us all! Shut up! Shut up!
This was a classic moment.
Hey, it's an early dose.
There, finished.
Yeah, in the script we call them annoyed
Well,
grunts.
it's a quick job.
Annoyed.
Uh-huh. Okay. I'll be back
DOH.
with help before you know it. You girls just stay here and relax.
Remember, Dad, The handle of the Big Dipper points to
And
the
I
North
believe,
Star.
according to Dan Castellaneta, it
That's nice
comes
to
from
be
a
done, but
villain
we're
in
not astronomy class. We're in the woods.
Laurel and Hardy movies who was saying so he started to say damn and then would cut himself off and go oh, and it metamorphosized into dough.
Should Maggie be going with them, Mom?
No, I don't think they'll be gone long. And she's in good hands, Lisa.
No, a lot of the annoyed grunt, again, it's a parenthetical line we would put in the dialogue and Dan would come up with something like that, but
Well, might be a few.
it's sort of an easy writer's crutch where it's sort of easy and very fun to just
And remember not to
write
get
in
away.
a near impossible direction like that, like confused whimper or ambivalent hum, something like that, and then see what the actors come up with, and they almost always deliver. They give us something very funny.
I believe one early plot twist that we later discarded was Jim Brooks thought Homer could be carried away to an eagle's nest and raised as a baby eagle, and then we wound up going in another direction.
Boy, back to civilization.
How do you know?
When you're an experienced woodsman like me, you get a feel for these things. It becomes natural, like a third sense.
One of the many times Homer has fallen off the cliff. Actually, one of his smaller cliffs. And
The squirrels just kind of sit there.
Maggie isn't singing.
one thing that our show does that's different from a movie like, say, Bambi, is we will hear bird sounds and animal sounds in the background. In Bambi, it was all just music. You didn't hear any ambient noise.
I think this got a real good response when it first aired. This, the whole Maggie and the bear.
We would hear it all the time because it was Maggie. I don't know, it was 3% of the show. You know, we knew everybody likes her and she's cute, but especially from my friends' moms who always say, "Oh, I love that baby," and they go on and on about her. Oh, she never says a thing, but you can tell she's taking it all in.
I think the moms would love the baby because she's so well behaved and watches herself.
Yeah.
Why couldn't you
It showed a lot of trust on Marge to let her go off with Homer.
Why did this one befall me?
Cow Dad.
What the? Go! You're alive!
So number 2.
Also, one of the first instances of Homer just sobbing and losing control of his emotions. Also, an early instance of Homer being nude. You've pretty much seen all of his body by this point.
The first thing you learn about surviving in the woods, boy, conceal your nakedness.
Yeah, man.
Okay, slap a fern on there, boy. Now some mud. There. Oh, that requires a little mullet. And some moss for me. All right.
I remember this, that whole run of dialogue was just the stage direction. It was in Swartzwelder's script where it said Homer and Bart emerge from the forest with a well concealed with mud, moss, and a strategically placed mollusk. And Sam Simon said, "Oh, that's too funny to leave as a stage direction," and it all became dialogue.
This is our dinner. Come on.
This is a quintessential Swartzwelder joke, too. What happens to the rabbit here? I believe the rabbit is designed a little bit like the Life in Hell rabbit, too.
Got him!
That is a great sound effect.
This time,
Really great
just
gag.
go into the
People
bushes over
people
there.
would single that joke out, how much they loved it. It's beautifully
When he comes
executed.
out, you
And
step
it's I think it predates a little animal cruelty sensitivity. Not that people would have a problem with it, but they still must play that general principle.
You notice we added a snake wrapped around his arm, too.
Great
Yeah.
camping trip, huh? Traveled 800 miles, haven't even seen a squirrel yet.
Well, the ranger at the gate said we should watch out for bears.
Ooh, bears! Right.
There's the Matt Groening baby.
There are.
Oh yeah, we saw him in a couple episodes ago.
I think this is the Gamble family again, which sort of disappeared as the series went into season 2.
All right, you made your point.
Bears. Whenever the script called for a family, we would search through old model sheets.
Yeah, and now it just tend to be the Flanders kids or the Hibbert family.
Jeez, that's cute.
I really like the lighting effect.
I think this sequence used to be a lot
I hope Maggie and the boys
longer.
are
I think
all right.
Marge and
Sure, they're just fine.
Lisa had
After all, we
a whole
both
conversation
we
about
don't know anything
boys
about
and
nature. Imagine what
things.
your father
It was
an
cut down.
experienced woodsman has done.
Yeah.
I know as this episode goes on, a fair amount of fiddling went into it. Again, it was early in the run of the series where we weren't here for the whole process, and I was very surprised when I saw Act 3 on TV.
I think that a lot of the Marge and Lisa plot, which is sort of a Swiss Family Robinson thing, was cut just because Albert Brooks went so long. He had to make room for it somehow.
Oh, are we there yet?
No.
We ever gonna be there?
Know what I know. Quit asking pointless. Hark! Look! Honey! Honey!
I'm always amazed at Homer's indefatigability. He's just bitten and eaten by animals, falls down cliffs, and he's immediately ready to like eat some bees.
Angry.
We're trying to show his
What?
5 o'clock shadows swollen and bee stings.
You can see there the noises Dan Castellan edited were probably done at the record and animated too, as opposed to afterwards, because the lip sync is there. I believe right around when this episode was written, the Fox Network had aired a lot of Bigfoot specials and
Legendary half-man, half-ape
creature finding
He's very, very real. What you're
shows, and I think this is a satire of them.
taken earlier today in the hills 3 miles southwest.
You can hear this is Kent Brockman's voice, but not the Kent Brockman design. And Kent, I believe, the design is actually based on an LA newsman, Jerry Dunphy.
Most impressed by the creature's uncivilized look, its foul language, and most of all, its indescribable stench. A popular supermarket tabloid has offered a reward of $5,000 to anyone who brings in the creature alive. Naturally, we'll have more on this story as soon as it develops. We now return you to the president's address already in...
Is that Kent Brockman's voice?
Yeah. Strange Act 3.
Yeah, I think this is another episode where it was the original act break was not Homer and Bart sitting on the log. I think that
Getting along all right.
it might have been Maggie with the bears or the rabbit, and the Bigfoot plot was originally later in the episode, and it just kept getting larger and larger.
Why, that's my husband! His name isn't Bigfoot. His name is Homer.
What does it eat?
I don't understand. What's this all about? Well, I suppose pork chops are his favorite.
When this aired, some people have told me they thought that there should have been more mud on Homer, because it really just does look like a human being. You wonder why they're all mistaking him for a monster.
Off the set.
Okay, now let's get back to your husband. How would you
I
describe
think part of the joke was Homer's natural design looks a little Neanderthalish.
it coast to coast?
Just a little
Are
further.
we there yet?
That other reporter sounded like Kent Brockman too, and he had brown hair.
Now Marge didn't notice her baby.
There's someone too with Homer's 5 o'clock shadow, which I think we don't really give anybody.
Yeah, that
else
guy was a
show.
barber in the Tracy Ullman shorts.
Oh, I remember him.
Yeah, the only one who has it now, I think, is Krusty, who actually is Homer in clown makeup.
Nice Grizzlies. Nice Grizzlies.
What do we do, Dad?
Here's the Grizzly son. Nice Grizzlies.
Nice grizzlies.
We were thankful this episode didn't inspire children to go out and find real bears because they're so friendly.
Huh?
Peggy! Oh, my little girl. Nice Grizzlies. Nice Grizzlies.
Later, grizzly dudes.
I think this was another one of the episodes too where You know, the script read really funny, and we
It's him!
had a plot that went pretty far, but then we weren't quite sure how to end. Yeah, you know, it's hard to get an emotional ending when you just have someone that the world thinks is Bigfoot.
Darn lucky we got
And, you know, baby being raised by bears. You don't really know how you can turn it into something that has emotional resonance.
I forgot. Yeah, this thing read screamingly well, didn't it?
Yeah, it's very funny.
I remember I'd never seen a script reading like that, and there was talk at the time of stretching it to a two-parter because it had read so well. And then, yeah, you'll see. I'm afraid, at least my opinion, it just sort of peters out a little at the end.
Yeah.
No, it's a problem we have from time to time where we get so big and the comedy gets so broad that you really can't pull it back and then give it a human element.
The question remains, who was this Homer? Was it a man, or was it in fact the legendary missing link known as Bigfoot? Can I have some applesauce? Specialists from around the world gathered at the Springfield Primate...
Yeah, because this doesn't really make sense. Why, when they know he's a human being, do they still put him in a lab? Here you can see that it's the file footage
It's very
was
silly.
supered in post instead of being in the animation.
Biological and anatomical testing. I regret to announce that the evidence we have is inconclusive.
Yeah, I think this part, again, I was watching it at home with my parents, and I was so proud, and this came up, I go, where did this come from? And I think we have a sexy female, a French scientist there, and I was as baffled as anyone, and I worked on this.
Oh, the guys at work are going to have a field day with this.
Cheer up, Homer. At least they let you go.
Gentlemen, Fräulein, there's this much I believe we can agree upon. This specimen
Yes,
is
they really failed to realize he's a human being for a very long period.
a brilliant beast.
Stupid.
Well, they had to study their find before he went home.
My
But for all this, it comes with, I think, it's just a very sweet moment at the end, and it's certainly a really funny show.
No, and a very popular episode.